And welcome back to the channel, Prolific People. I am Tom Bolan, and today we've got a great special episode for you. Usually we do it in two parts, but today we're going to do one long video so you can get as much value out of it as possible. And I'm joined by Paul Massey, who is a self-mastery and mindset coach. Hi, Paul.
Hello, thanks for having me today.
I really appreciate you joining the channel, because when I saw you on social media doing what you're doing, I just thought I've got to get that guy on, because this is exactly what this channel is about and Prolific People is about. Mindset, self-mastery, entrepreneurship, progression. So yeah, viewers are going to get a lot of value out of it today. Do you want to give us a bit of introduction to who you are, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Paul Raimon Massey, and I'm a self-mastery coach, and I predominantly help entrepreneurs and coaches. So I got into this basically through healing myself and sort of fixing my own mindset. I got diagnosed with severe PTSD sort of 4 or 5 months ago, and that was from sort of quite an abusive childhood. And I sort of had really, really bad programming of like, I'm never going to achieve anything in my life. So by fixing myself, I learned the roadmap and the tools to be able to effectively help other people. And being an entrepreneur myself, I thought the best people to help are the people that I've been or I am, so I can effectively help those people.
So you've got quite a colourful background, Paul. You were actually in the army a few years ago. Do you want to tell us about how you started your career in the army and then moved on to where you got to where you are today?
Absolutely. I mean, it seems like a lifetime ago. I mean, I'm 36 now, and I left the army when I was 21. So definitely a few years ago. I actually joined the army when I was 15, 9 months old. And I certainly joined the army to sort of escape that abusive environment that I was in. When I joined the army, I actually found it quite easy because of the trauma I was going through at home was actually worse than sort of the army going through training. So that will say a lot to you. I love the army. I love being a green soldier. I've done one tour of Afghanistan, one tour of Iraq. I really, really loved it. But it really started for me when I actually left the military, because I really felt lost. You know, I was institutionalized. All I knew was the military, and I hadn't really dealt with those emotions that I had when I was a child. I see the military is a very, very good place to hide your emotions, because it's sort of very masculine, sort of job where everyone doesn't really talk about their problems or their weaknesses. So when I left, I just felt like a little boy. I was 21 years old. I was so angry. I was so lost. I didn't know how to progress forward in my life. As soon as I got a job in hospitality, then it all started sorting itself out. I think I'm someone who desperately needs purpose in my life. I can't be one of those people that sofa surfs and doesn't really have purpose. So as soon as I started working through those demons. But it's a journey, you know. I still have to work on my mindset every single day. It's not something that you can just click your fingers and you've got a bulletproof mindset. I say it's your routines. It's the mind, body, soul. It's helping yourself every single day. But yeah, on leaving the military, got into hospitality, and I worked my way up the hospitality ladder. So right now I'm running a £5.5 million empire whilst growing my coaching business, and that's 2 hotels. So I'm still technically in hospitality. So I've worked from a bar person all the way up to an area manager of 100 members of staff, £5.5 million business. But what's actually interesting to show you how I started this journey was when I actually went for my first interview in hospitality, the lady said to me, "Why should I employ you? You're probably just going to be really angry. You've got no other experience in your CV other than the military." And she said, "Come back to me every Monday at 8 o'clock and we'll see what we can do for you." So I turned up 2 Mondays in a row, and she still didn't have anything for me. So I offered to start cleaning her gym for free just to get that job. So it just shows you that I was very, very committed. So I started cleaning the gym for free for 2 weeks. I turned up every single Monday, 5 to 8, asking for that job, and eventually got it. And then sort of 6, 7 years later, I am where I am now.
That's awesome. I mean, to go through that and get to where you are today, that's fantastic. And there will be people out there watching this in a similar situation. Maybe they feel like the kind of they're stuck in the role or the lifestyle that they're currently in. But it shows no matter where you come from and your background, and even your career at the start of your life, how you can get to where you want to be and keep progressing.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, there'll be a lot of people watching this. The millions of people that watch this show will be thinking we're talking a load of gibberish, right? Talking about self-mastery and mindset and things like that. But for me, and obviously for you, it's quite a strong topic in our lives. So do you want to explain to us exactly what is a self-mastery coach?
So self-mastery is basically the ability to control yourself in all situations and move forward concisely and steadily towards your goals in an honorable, disciplined way. So self-mastery is about understanding that you don't need anything outside of yourself. It's all within inside yourself. I say, as part of my mission, I say you don't need any other strategy. You don't need another course. You don't need another mastermind. What you actually need to do is master yourself, master your own mindset, because most of the time it's these negative thoughts that we're having all of the time that's actually keeping us held back. As an example, they say that most people only ever earn as much as their parents did, because that's like a financial block. They're like, oh, my parents earned £40,000 a year, so I can't go beyond that. So we don't realize how our mindset holds us back in life. It dictates every aspect of our life.
And there's a quote. I don't really know the quote, so I'm not going to quote it, but it's along the lines of whatever you imagine is achievable, you can achieve it. And for a lot of us, like you say, we see our parents and we think that's the height of our achievement, of what we can personally achieve ourselves, but that's not true. If you imagine you can, I don't know, send a rocket into space, then eventually, if you work and on that and take action, then you can achieve it.
Elon Musk.
Right?
No,
Yeah.
I often say, if you can see it in your mind, you'll see it in your hands. I do believe in power of attraction. I do believe that it all starts inside your own head. If you've got any blocks that's going to show up in your life, they say every situation experience in your life is a mirror experience of your own thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll kind of talk about natural progression as well, because that itself is limiting beliefs of, let's say you were in the military, and you didn't see any other option or route of where to go, so you stayed in the military all your working life, and that is perceived as a natural progression from going from the bottom to the top and just working your way up within
Yeah.
specific industry. And I've done it myself, where I used to work in the TV industry, doing live TV production. And you kind of think that the pinnacle of that is working for the BBC as an executive producer, for example. And that's the path that you set yourself and that you think you're going to be on for the rest of your life, and which is seemed as though a natural progression. However, life doesn't need to be like that, does it?
Absolutely not. You got to have bigger dreams. You have to realize that, the first thing you do is not the thing you always have to do. I think generations are changing. I think the generation prior to us, they stayed in the same job for 40 years, 50 years, whereas now you see people often hopping 3 or 4 careers in their lifetime. I think we live in a different world now. We have access to so much information. I used to think I was on good money doing hospitality until I found coaching. There's no comparison between an employee and an entrepreneur. You have all your own working hours. You get to decide how much you want to charge, and you have freedom. And for me, this journey has always been about freedom, time freedom, financial freedom.
So there's probably going to be people at home watching this who are in a 9 to 5 job, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but they might not be happy. And you've gone through a similar experience where you've kind of realized, what am I doing with my life? Did you say you were working as a mercenary?
Yeah. So the way that came about actually was I actually had the #1 fine dining restaurant in the Isle of Wight, and I run that for 3 years, ever so successful, lots of awards, but I was massively burnt out. When you get your own business, you just put everything into it. It's your baby. And I remember sitting outside the back of this restaurant, rocking back and forth. All I was missing was a straitjacket. Literally, I was working 90 hours a week and I was a broken man. And I realized that something had to change in my life. I literally remember coming home, looking in the mirror and crying my eyes out, thinking, I do not like the person I've become. There must be something more for me. So I went back to my army roots and I spent £10,000 on courses to get me back into that military arena in the private sector. So I was a private military contractor, basically a mercenary, basically an armed guard. And I worked on vessels going around the Horn of Africa, anything from super yachts to cargo vessels, basically protecting these vessels from Somali pirates. But it was actually this break in my life that allowed me to flourish and be in the position that I'm in today, because there was something about removing myself from society in the middle of the ocean where I had an abundance of time on my hands to think and try and work out what I wanted out of life. This was where I ultimately came across this mind, body, soul transformation. So I was meditating twice a day, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. I read over 100 self-help books in a year, and I was just working out pretty hard. And excuse the pun, at sea, I found that I was the captain of my own ship. And actually, I had all these voices inside my head sort of telling me that I wasn't good enough. This was instilled in me by my stepfather. Are you a man? Are you a mouse? You're never going to achieve anything. You're too stupid. And I believed that all the way up until I got to that point where I was at sea. And I had the first time in my life, I challenged those beliefs. Am I good enough? Why am I not good enough? I've just run the #1 fine dining restaurant on the Isle of Wight. Surely that means something. But I was doing it to prove him wrong. It was a negative energy. I was turning up every single day just to say, I can do this. But it was at that moment at sea where I really found myself. I mean, you've got to picture this. You know, you've got all of these mercenaries, SAS, SBS from all over the world. They're all ripped, they're all muscly, and there's me sat in the middle of them with my legs crossed meditating. But there was something seriously empowering about that, because I've always been someone who's sort of quite worried what other people think of me. And there was just something so powerful that I thought, I'm going to sit here and meditate. You know what? Because there's more strength in me sitting here meditating than there is in your muscly arms, you know, because I didn't really care what they thought about me at that point. You know, I transcended that. So once I realized that I could fix myself, and there was just so many gold nuggets in those self-help books, I just rewired my brain. The first time I listened to positive affirmations, I cried my eyes out. I realized I never had that many positive thoughts in my head before. It just goes to show that your brain is a machine, and you can rewire it, and you can change beliefs, and you can re-empower yourself. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve in life, and it's all already within you.
Yeah, I mean that's quite interesting. The self-help books, because I read a lot of books as well, and I actually pride myself a few years ago of like saying, oh, I don't read.
I was the same.
I don't know why I did that. But the amount of books I've got in my Audible library now is insane. But the self-help books that you talked about, I think what we'll do is we're going to get the 3 top books from you, and we'll put a link down in the description below so people can check them out if they want to start learning what you've been learning. But one interesting thing you said though is like you were looking in the mirror and thinking you're not good enough. There's plenty of people out there that will be doing the same thing, and what it stems from is our conditioning from when we're younger and what we're told, and how we grow up in certain environments. It can change, but it takes a lot of work for you to change your mindset to become more positive and believe in yourself. What advice would you give people who are in the same position?
You have to have a guard on the gate. And what I mean by that is you have to challenge every thought that you have. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is your mind will keep talking trash all of the time. I use this analogy. If you imagine that your mind is a garden, and weeds will grow with no undue effort, and those weeds are your negative thoughts. You don't have to do anything to help them grow. They're just going to grow every single day. And what you must do if you want a beautiful garden, and a beautiful garden is positive thoughts, every time you have that negative thought, that weed comes through the ground, you must pull that weed out and replace it with a rose, a positive thought. So if you say to yourself, I am unconfident, and you let your mind say that to yourself, you start to believe it. They say a belief is when you say something to yourself enough times and you allow it to happen, it then goes into your subconscious mind, and you don't even need to say it to yourself anymore because it's rewired itself as a belief. So you must challenge every belief you have, especially if they're negative.
And let's talk about what you actually do now with mindset coaching and self-mastery. And you actually work with some pretty big names, right? I mean, you've not been doing this for long, and you've got yourself into a fantastic position.
I've been doing it for a year now, and I was very, very lucky to coach a celebrity very, very early on in my journey. I probably coached between 10 and 15 people already in my first year, which is quite profound early doors for a coach. It can be quite hard to build the business element. But I've put myself out there. I'm on a podcast with you right now. I've only been coaching for a year, but that leads me on, I guess, to imperfect action. And I would say that is absolutely the secret sauce to success, is you have to take action even if you think you're not ready. I think most people never, ever achieve their goals and dreams in life because they're always waiting for that perfect moment. Oh, I need 10 grand before I move.
Yeah.
I need this course before I get a promotion. I need this before I can leave this job that I hate and start doing a job that I love. And this is what human beings do.
Yeah. It's like you're restricting yourself, right? You're getting in your own way. Yes, you got these ideas, ambitions, and goals, and things that you actually want to achieve with your life, but you are getting in your own way. How do you step aside and actually just take action, right? I mean, let's take this YouTube channel for an example, and for me, for an example. I was never a public speaker and I hated it and I avoided it as much as I could. Even going back at uni, when part of one of our exams or modules was to do a presentation in front of the entire class, I did not turn up. I didn't plan. I didn't do anything. I just didn't bother doing it because the fear of actually doing that. So, I mean, so looking at this channel for an example now, I'm getting myself out there and I've pushed myself to do it. And this is what everyone out there needs to do.
Absolutely. If you said to me a year ago that I'm going to sit here and do a podcast, I would have called bullshit. And you know what? It's all about growth in discomfort, which then leads on to that very first book that I read. And that was The Warrior by Jeff Thompson. And I've even got some of the words from that book tattooed on my chest because it literally had that much of a profound effect on me. It's just this understanding that there's absolutely no growth in your life unless you're going to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. It's like saying every single public speaker in the world at some point was unconfident being on stage.
Yeah.
Every coach in the world at some point had their own problems. What I'm trying to show you is that we look at successful people like they're something different to us, but actually they've just worked through that imperfect action. They've worked through that imposter syndrome, and they kept putting themselves in uncomfortable situations until those situations became comfortable. And I know some people are successful now and they're still masking the fact that they have that fear or that imposter syndrome. But you know what? They're still taking action.
And to people looking from the outside, they won't see that they're in their head thinking, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm scared of this. What am I talking about? Do people trust what I'm saying? I did a presentation in Manchester a few months ago, and it was my first time public speaking. And I was terrified, but I knew as part of my next steps in life and my career that was something I had to do. And I was sat there as the presenter was introducing me, and I was sat on the front row, sweating, shaking, nervous as anything. And I thought, well, I'm here now. She's introducing me. I can't run out of that door. I have to put myself in that position and stand up and talk.
And how did you feel after?
I tell you what, I knew when I got into it, give me 30 seconds, I'll read the introduction and I'll be away. And it was fine. Yeah. I was nervous, so I couldn't really stand in front of everyone confidently, but I still got out what I needed to get out and say. And then after it, the reception I received from everyone in the audience, and it was not like I was in a room of 1,000 people. You know, there was only about 40 people there, but still, it's quite a lot of people to talk in front of. And the amount of people that came around me afterwards, and the relief that not only were they listening to what I was saying, but they actually believed in what I was saying. And then they wanted to ask me my opinion on other things. And just from one presentation, I became like this expert. And that was imposter syndrome, because there's people around you asking stuff like that, you know, are further along than you are. And you think, oh, they're asking me these questions, but they know more than I know. Why are they asking me that?
Yeah. But the thing is, the best dopamine release in the world is overcoming your fears. You know, and I think that is where we have a lot of depression and mental health issues in the world at the moment. And I would attribute that to most people not having a purpose, but also not overcoming their fears on a regular basis. If you was a caveman, you're going to confront fear today. if you want to eat today, you're going to confront fear. And actually, we've lost that in our society. Most men are waking up, they're having a £3,000 English breakfast and sitting on a sofa all day, and they are wondering why they feel like shit. Every single day, I try to do something that pushes me outside of my comfort zone. That is how I've got to where I've got to today, is because I will keep showing up no matter how I feel. If you don't think that I'm working for imposter syndrome myself, you don't just start as a coach on day one and think I know it all. I have to work through that myself, and it's just a case of keep showing up, because competence builds confidence.
And it's that rut that people get themselves into. As you say, they'll have a massive breakfast and feel sluggish all day, and then just sit at home and probably just watch TV, and you just sat there flicking through the channels and you're not achieving anything. But once you're in that kind of low mindset level there, and it's really hard to get out of it, and you think, your ambitions just disappear. How do you get that back?
Master your morning, master your life. It's all about that morning routine. We hear it so much. We're scrolling through Facebook and watching all these successful people jumping in ice baths, getting up earlier and earlier and earlier, meditating. Why can't we see these people and see that there's a formula there? You have to get up. You have to seize the day. I would say that meditation is the absolute cornerstone of wellness. It absolutely transformed my life. It's not this mumbo jumbo, spiritual element, Buddha. You don't have to be religious. If anything, I would say it's the absence of religion. It's actually understanding that you are everything already. I am happiness and I am sadness. I am great and I am shit. I am everything, depending on the thoughts I'm having at that time. I would say get out of bed 20 minutes earlier, do a 5-minute meditation, read a chapter of a book, and get your body moving. I teach this to all of my clients: mind, body, soul routine. If you master yourself, you will master your life. It's that simple.
And it's hard to get out of that habit of rolling over, turning your alarm off, and getting an extra 5 minutes of crappy sleep.
It's the worst thing in the world.
Or instead of going back to sleep, to wake yourself up, you go on social media, and already you're feeding your mind with what all these other people are doing, and it's already depressing you even before you've woken up.
Look, if you go on social media now, we're going to look like Muppets, because somebody is out there on a jet ski right now, and we're sat indoors on a podcast. We're the Muppets. You can't compare yourself to people on social media. They are showing the best 1% of their life. 1 minute later, they're having a Barney with a missus, but you think they've got something that you don't have. They're showing you a very select element of their life.
Yeah, exactly. That's the power of social media. You can really give a perception to people of who you are, but you can manipulate that perception.
Absolutely.
It's probably worth mentioning how you actually got into mindset coaching.
Yeah. Okay, so that all really began. I remember that morning like yesterday. I woke up and I was still like massively depressed, and I was really asking myself why I felt that way. And what I really realized was my ladder was against the wrong wall. I climbed to the top of this ladder to realize it was against the wrong wall. And what I mean by that is I was looking for that conventional success to prove my stepdad wrong. I've got a Tesla on the drive, I've got a couple of Rolex watches, and I'm still not fucking happy. And I really sat there and I went within and I really tried to work out why I wasn't happy. And I come to the conclusion that I needed to do a job full of purpose. Once I realized that, I started sort of Googling sort of mental health jobs. And because I at that point, I already realized I had a roadmap. I'd already healed myself of PTSD. When I went to my therapy for PTSD, cognitive behavioral therapy, she said, you're like already 15 sessions in. You've done so much healing already. And again, I attribute a lot of that to meditation and rewiring my brain through those self-help books. But also important to note on this sort of Buddhist philosophy journey, I forgave both of my fathers. I never met my real dad. He was an alcoholic. It was very, very abusive. He asked my mum to get him some more fucking alcohol right now in the centre of London. Mum said she's not doing it anymore. And he decided to punch me in the nose as a 6-month-old little baby in my cot. Nearly broke my nose, blacked both my eyes. My mum left him at that time. But then she got with another abusive guy, and I got quite a lot of abuse as a child. So forgiving them just made me feel so much lighter, and I didn't get the response I thought I would get. I thought my real dad would be sort of happy that I found him and built that communication with him. Actually, he was like, you want to believe your mother, do whatever you want to do. And my stepdad was actually very comforting. I understand why you're doing what you're doing. You want to grow as a person. But forgiveness is huge. You have to let go of your past. You cannot effectively move forward if you're holding on to your past. They say if you're living in the past, you're going to have depression. If you're living in the future, you're going to have anxiety. But if you live in the present, it's a gift. And that is why it's called the present moment. So it's very, very important to make sure you're living. Buddha says every day is a new day. And what we do today is what matters most. I think most people are carrying baggage from yesterday and worrying about tomorrow. And actually, they're missing the gift of life, and they're not being the best version of themselves today. And that's all they need to do.
So, Paul, how do people work with you if they're, I'm getting a lot. I just got goosebumps from that, so I'm getting value out of this. But I hope that people watching this are getting the same out of it. But how do they work with you if they wanted to?
The magic of an online business, right? That's where I am. It's so easy to find me. My name's Paul Raimon Massey, spelled in a unique way because I'm half Spanish. So Raimon is Raimon, Paul Raimon Massey. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all those social media channels. I wasn't on social media for 8 years. I've literally come back in this space to be a healer, to help people, to pass on the knowledge that I have. Social media can be negative, but you know what? I love my fucking feed because my feed is full of personal development, full of positivity. Understand the algorithm. The algorithm is going to show you what you like to see. If you think your phone is negative, it's probably because you are negative. Your phone can be powerful. We've never had this much access to information before, but you get to choose what you consume. This is the power of life. It's so empowering and disempowering to think that you have a million options every single day of your life. But most people procrastinate.
And they do the same thing as they've done for the past 20 years.
And they're getting the same results.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That really bugs me because, that they might have fantastic ideas, great ambitions, but they're not acting on it. They're getting the same results. And by the time they know it, they're going to be 60 years old and thinking, what the hell
100%. If you always do what you always done, you'll always get what you always got. And you know what? The biggest motivation for me is to not lay on my deathbed and have regrets. If I can just help one person level up in their life, which I already have done, by the way, I would die a happy man. But if I have £10 million in the bank, that's not for me. That's going to go to somebody else. You cannot take material wealth with you, but I believe that you can take these good deeds with you. You can make the world a better place. It's that mentality of one person can't make a difference. But if everybody has that mentality, then the world cannot evolve. If you look at someone like Elon Musk as an example, you're telling me one man can't make a difference?
Love him or hate him, he's changing the world.
100%. But we all have that ability. That's what I believe. I believe that every single one of us come here with a purpose. And they say success leaves clues. Whatever you feel attracted to, whatever feels natural to you, that is probably your destiny. For me, it seems incredibly natural for me to want to help people. So I'm just drawn to that.
And we reference people like Elon Musk and the wealthiest people in the world who are changing the world, and some people have negative perceptions about these people, thinking that they're greedy. So let's say about Jeff Bezos, right? People are negative against him probably because he's got so much wealth, and it's actually jealousy that they have against him. But those same people will go on Amazon later that day and purchase something and use his service. And he is giving the world a service that wasn't there a few years ago. And yeah, he is reaping the rewards. People watching this, they don't need to have the next big idea of Amazon or Facebook or Tesla, but they have the same ability within them as people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. You don't need to have a financial backing behind you, because some people might say that, oh, he was born into wealth, he got brought up with wealth around him, and the majority of these people started from nothing. And that's where a lot of people watching this right now will be starting from nothing, and they can get to as high as they imagine.
Do you know what? I see some wealthy, affluent people, and they're brought up in that sugar coating. It doesn't necessarily give them grit and determination.
Yeah.
I say suffering is a gift.
Yeah.
If you suffer, then you have something to overcome. And once you've overcome that, then you become more powerful. But then you also have a roadmap to be able to teach somebody else that. And then your life has purpose. I say that every single person can be a coach. You know why? Because we've all overcome a problem in our life. And you can gift that roadmap to somebody else and improve their life. And that is the power of coaching. That is why I love it.
I like that. I think you need a combination of envy and pain, and you need to experience both those things before you actually take a step back and think, oh, I need to do something about this. I need to start taking
100%.
action, moving forward.
But Buddha says that thoughts are suffering. Whilst you're thinking, you're always suffering. You know, the idea of meditation is to empty the mind. That's what you're trying to do. Most people don't really realize what they're trying to do during a meditation. Again, they're trying to connect some sort of universal energy, which you are doing as a byproduct. But ultimately, you're just trying to be aware of the types of thoughts that you're having. And what you will realize is your body is just constantly talking trash because you've allowed it to talk trash for your entire course of your life. They say your mind is a great servant, but a poor master. But we allow our mind to be the master all of the time. It's a tool, you know. We are in control of that tool. If you're laying in bed every single night and you can't get to sleep because you've got so many thoughts running through your head, you are not in control of your mind, and you need to do something about that.
Yeah, definitely. Lastly, let's talk about goal setting and productivity. For me, goal setting is a bit of a restrictive term, because I think you set a goal and you aim to achieve that goal, and then what do you do once you've achieved it? So I like to set targets of an overall larger idea of where I want my life to be, and I will try and hit those targets over a period of time, knowing once I've hit that target, there's going to be another one that I want to hit.
Yeah. Well, you're already in a different bracket to most people, because when I ask some people, what do you want from life? They say, I don't know, I've not really thought about that before. It's fucking crazy. Like, how do you not know what you want? That should be the first question you ask yourself. And that is the first question I ask all of my clients. Yeah. What is it you actually want? I can help you get it. And all I'm going to do is make you accountable. You're going to tell me exactly what you want and how you're going to get it. And I'm going to make sure you get it. Because I think that's really what coaching is. Mainly it's accountability. We know what we need to do. We just don't do it. And it's that simple, you know. When you got someone saying to you, I'm going to have a call with you on Tuesday and I'm going to make sure you've been to the gym 5 times this week. I'm going to make sure you've meditated 5 times this week. Well, this is where people have profound outcomes. Some people don't really know what coaching is and they think coaches just getting paid to have a conversation. I would say predominantly it's accountability. And if you don't need accountability, then why have you not already achieved what you want to achieve in life? And why is it every successful person has a coach? Because go back 10 years ago, it was only successful and rich people that had coaches. Now it's becoming way more mainstream. I actually read something in a paper the other day that said GPs are going to start recommending coaches, because most people don't need a doctor. Most people need someone to talk to release their trauma, to release their negative thoughts, to get a bulletproof routine, to be more productive, to goal set. You know, that's really what we're talking about here. You do not need a mental health nurse to help you level up in your life.
One important thing you said there about coaching, even the top guys out there have coaches. Even if you look at people like Michael Jordan, he had a coach and he always wanted to improve. And it wasn't about winning that game. Once he'd won the game, he wanted to know how to win the next game and keep improving. So that's why coaches are there, right? So they can just offer that solution to people to help keep improving.
Absolutely. Again, if you made yourself accountable, you would already have all of your dreams and your desires. Again, I've already told you, you have everything you need within you already. So what is the one thing stopping you achieving your goals? It's the fact that you're not holding yourself accountable. And most people won't, because as humans, we're trying to avoid pain and gain pleasure. And in this modern world, in this matrix that we live in, it's so easy and it's so full of temptation. And that's the point. That governments want us to be distracted because we can never, ever fully understand who we are. You know, how powerful is Joe Bloggs if he realizes that he is God? He has everything within him. He can earn £1 million a year if he wants to.
Yeah.
It's easier to drip feed that. That's only for a select few, you know, the 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People will hear us saying that and they'll think we're just conspiracy theorists, but that's not what we're talking about here, right?
Not at all. Well, it depends how deep you want to go. I mean, I obviously think we are in some sort of system. And that system is certainly not there to work in our benefit.
No.
You know, a sick human being is the most profitable commodity on the planet. And that is why I healed myself in a holistic way. Another little story for you is I actually remember when I first closed that restaurant, before going to work at sea as a mercenary, I actually went online and I bought some Prozac pills. And I sat on the end of my bed with these red pills in my hand. And I was this close to taking them. And I'm sort of a researcher, if you like. And I got up my phone and I Googled, how hard is it to get off these pills once you're on them? And it was pretty much along the lines of, once you start taking these, it's going to fuck with the chemistry in your brain and you're never, ever, truly ever going to be happy. You know, I actually went and binned those pills straight away. So I'm trying to show you that, like, even I was tempted to go for the quick fix solution, put this chemical in my body and then I can have some fake happiness for a bit, you know, but actually I wanted to heal myself in a natural and holistic way. And I've done that through meditation, through rewiring my thoughts, through positive affirmations. And the greatest part is becoming a coach, I think. I think that this is the last part of my journey, is healing myself and then having a job full of purpose. You know, my best days are still ahead of me. I'm sure of it, because I'm still growing as a person. You know, personal development is my baby. I love improving myself.
Well, I think, Paul, we've gone on a lot there, and I mean, we could keep on going forever, but I think we should wrap it up there. Do you want to remind everyone how they can work with you and get in touch with you?
Yep. So again, I'm on all social media channels: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I'm on all of those, and it's Paul Raimon Massey, Raimon. And just quickly as well, you want to know those books. So the first book I read, which absolutely changed my life, bear in mind, I only read 101 Dalmatians by the time I left school, and I thought I was shit at reading. So the fact that I read 100 books in a year, even that was changing a limiting belief that I had. So the first book was The Warrior by Jeff Thompson. And that was the book that absolutely changed my life. I got some of those words tattooed on my chest. The next book would be Hunting the Shadow by Jeff Thompson, and that will help you hunt down all of your fears and all of your insecurities, get it out on paper and challenge each one by one. And the last book I would say is Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. And that just sort of made me realize that I had an ego, you know, and the fact that that ego needed dissipating. And I just found myself to be a lot calmer, you know, not having to challenge people all the time, removal of anger, removal of sort of comparison and that sort of thing. Ego is absolutely the enemy.
3 books that I've not actually heard of, Paul. So I'm going to give all of them a go. I appreciate the recommendation. I've got 100 books in my library and I've not seen them. Thank you for that. So, guys, we'll put a link down below in the description if you want to check those books out. Also, put links to Paul's social media and how you can see what he's doing and work with him. But really appreciate your time today, Paul. I'm sure a lot of people out there got a lot of value out of this, and will do for years to come. And thank you at home for watching. Appreciate you for spending the time with us today and for being a subscriber. Please leave some comments down below what you actually got out of the video, what you want to see from prolific people in the future, and if there's anyone else that you want to see join us on the show. So thank you very much and see you next time.
Thank you, guys.